Hey guys, Tom, Permaculture Wilmington here, and today I am harvesting persimmons. We are going to have a native food forest in our new home. I'm learning so much about soil from Matt Powers and Elaine Ingham and the whole crew that he's put together to teach people. It's amazing how much information that he's accumulated to disperse to people. But native organisms in the soil, and as biologically diverse as we can get. So like if you're ordering stuff from the store, it's okay. It's cool, man, because they're going to get along with the ones that we're putting in, these native ones. And if they don't, the populations that we're putting in of store-bought microbes and things are not going to be able to compete with the native ones in the climate, because they've evolved to live in that climate. So they are the dominant species. So they are the ones that control things like persimmon trees. And they help persimmon trees grow by providing them the exchange for exudates. So they give them the minerals and the nutrients in exchange for the plants sending out the exudates and calling them. They communicate. It's crazy. So the trees actually put these sugars into the ground and call specific microbes, and the bad ones can't see the sugars, right? So the good ones come up. So what I'm doing is getting the native trees, the native food trees, like the fruit trees, like this is the persimmon. I'm also going to have Fungi persimmons though too, just because they're huge and they're non-astringent. But I'm going to plant the Fungi persimmons in between the native persimmons. And I believe that, based on what Elaine Ingham has said, that the microbes can travel from one root zone to the other and will be able to help out the microbes from the Fungi and help it survive a lot better. So that's the theory that I have here and the understanding. But these are what they look like. Persimmon seeds, American persimmons, and these are the astringent ones that you have to actually leave on the ground. So I could actually eat these, but they're a little bit dry. What I'm going to do is take the seeds and cultivate the seeds and store them until we get to our new home. Maybe even inoculate them with some EM, some effective microbes, maybe another microbe slurry like a bioag or something, you know, just to make sure that they have their mycorrhizal partners and their bacteria partners that will help them grow and survive in their new environment much better and faster with better immune systems. And I mean, this is good stuff to know, guys. This is biology. It's life. So I just wanted to share what I was doing today, and this is what the tree looks like. Okay, it actually looks like it got hit by a storm. It broke off the top, and this is on our suburban trail here. The neighborhood has a little trail going that they've developed. This used to be basically an irrigation ditch is what this was. It's the runoff ditch, and they're, you know, funneling the water out into the river or whatever. So this is all the rainwater, the good water that we're collecting that we shouldn't be sending out, that we should be collecting in our yards and rain gardens and things, you know, to put it back into the water table so we can utilize it in our environment. But instead they're just sending it out to, you know, the rivers and lakes and streams and, you know, so that kind of thing. But this little trail we walk down with our dog, and I keep seeing this persimmon tree, and you know, there's just tons of seeds on the ground. If I pull back the leaf debris here, you know, it's the ones that are orange like this that have the seeds that are still good in them. There's a lot that are brown and are like dark like that, and those have been dominated by bacteria that have decomposed them already, so they're not going to germinate. Those are not viable. These should be. So I'm going to take these, and we're going to get the seeds out of them, and I'm going to store them and inoculate them, and then we're going to grow those seeds. We're going to grow some trees, and we're going to get some food. And you know, it's going to take a long time for these, maybe 10-15 years before they really start doing anything, you know, producing fruit and being productive. But it's not right now that we need to be worried about, guys. If we create these environments, it's for the people that come after us, you know. So that's what is really important, is creating a healthy environment for other people in the future, because we've been doing such a bad job of it in the past. So I'm looking for persimmon seeds right now, and I just found one that was already sprouted, which is super cool. Because we have a whole lot of pots right now that we've got plants in that we're going to take. I planted a bunch of brassicas just to get rid of the compost and filled up all the pots that we had, kind of thing. So we got a lot of pots and a lot of soil, a lot of compost in the pots, and this would go perfectly in there. Although this is a tree that comes from a forest, that means it likes fungal dominated soil, so putting it in bacteria dominated compost probably wouldn't be the best idea. So what we really need to do is get some fungal dominated compost, and I happen to grow mushrooms. So you guys can check out the other videos on my channel, but I have tons of mushroom growing videos of showing my fruiting chamber. I don't have any mycology stuff so much just yet, but that stuff's coming. I just wanted to get back into it. I haven't actually made any mushroom blocks since I started doing my YouTube channel. So as soon as we move and I need to redo the blocks and create more, you guys are going to see a whole lot more videos on mycology. But right now, I've got 30 or so blocks from last year that are still producing. Some of them have produced as much as like 6 or 7 flushes, and we're still getting flushes off of them. You know, like when I started, I heard that they only do 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky, and they get smaller each time, and then you just throw the blocks in the garden and use it for compost. But that is not my experience, guys. I mean, I haven't done anything to them except leave them there, and I spray water in every now and then to make sure there's humidity, you know, but they're outside, and it's actually our chicken run that I converted into a mushroom fruiting chamber just by putting plastic up. That's all I did, was just line the walls with plastic to cover up the screen, so, you know, to keep the airflow from being so dominant coming through with the winds that we get. But I think, guys, this is awesome. This is like finding a ring when I'm out on the beach and I'm treasure hunting. You know, I feel the same amount of excitement finding this today, so I'm very excited about that. So we have a persimmon tree that's native, that's already going to be growing, and I do have some in my yard currently, but you know, they're so big that we can't dig them up. These things have roots that go down in the ground farther than anything I've seen. Like, I know only a certain number of trees have tap roots, like the whole myth that all trees have tap roots. That's a myth. But these persimmon trees have huge taproot. They go way down, and it's like straight down, and if you break them, they'll grow a whole nother tree from the taproot that's way down in the ground that you broke off. I have proof of this in my yard because I've been trying to separate them and move them. Several years ago, I just threw a whole bunch of seeds in my garden, and you know, from my neighbor's yard, and they all grew. So this does work, guys. This is the natural way of just, you take the seeds and you just put them on the ground and cover them with mulch, and those seeds will come up, and that's what's happening right here. I'm actually taking up a lot of them, but I mean, this was right there, you know, and so it's literally just covered with leaf debris, and it's sitting on the top of the soil with the rest of the fruit here. You can see there's one that actually has viable seeds in it, so I'm going to take that one. But this guy, I'm going to go and I'm going to put in fungal dominated soil because it's a tree, it's a forest loving tree. So the fungal dominated soil that I'm going to be using is the sawdust wood blocks that I have from growing the wood loving mushrooms, the saprophytic mushrooms. So things like, if you want an example, like lion's mane and oyster mushrooms and chicken of the woods, although we haven't been able to get chicken of the woods cultivated. We did, and then it started growing a shelf, and then it receded, and it's just been sitting in that state for about a year now. Hasn't done very much since then. So it came out, and it said, I want to create life and spread, and then it receded and went back in real quick, and it's been that way ever since. So but yeah, so lots and lots of oyster mushrooms around here. Turkey tail mushrooms are wood loving. You know, there's just so many. There's 5.5 million mycelium in the world that they keep adding to every time they do soil tests and things where they're looking for organisms. They find more. So there's actually a whole lot more than that we haven't named or know about or have any connections with. So, but anyway, guys, in terms of seeds, so this is a score. And I'm going to put it in fungal dominated soil when I get back to the house, and that is going to be a tree in my new food forest. I wanted to show you guys, while I'm digging through looking for persimmons, you can see here, I've got a few, but it's fascinating because I'm learning so much about soil. I can identify a lot of what's going on right now. So check this out. I pulled back the leaf debris, and I can see macro aggregates on top. And I can tell you that macro aggregates are formed by the mycelium in the soil. So first the bacteria form micro aggregates, and then the mycelium take those micro aggregates and run their hyphae through them and form larger aggregates, larger particles that are pulled together. And what we're seeing right now is healthy soil that I can identify based on what I know about microorganisms. So check out these aggregates. See how it's little balls, and it keeps going deeper and deeper. There's just these ball formations that are forming where the mycelium has pulled together different particles, different organic matters and micro aggregates that the bacteria has formed, and formed these larger ones. And I mean, it's just all in here. If I pull back any of this debris, This whole area is just a forest floor, a healthy, fertile forest floor. That is what fertile soil looks like, guys. So we can identify this, we can see it, and know that it's there, okay? See the texture of it, the moisture retention capability, how it forms. These are all things to identify and be aware of. Even, look, worms. We got worms in here. That's wonderful. Worms are like the sharks in the soil. They're the ones that regulate anything smaller than them. And when they pass it through their system, whatever they consume, they eat the microbiology. They regulate the populations, go through the soil and eat all the organisms that are smaller than them. But as the organic material passes through their system, it picks up it's a bacteria, and it's called purple unsulfured bacteria, and it can live in volcanoes. Like, it can live in actual active volcanoes with hot surfaces, so it can live in extreme temperatures. It's fascinating. But this microbiology, this bacteria, is very beneficial. It's part of the consortium in the effective microbes. So like when you get effective microbe solution, the consortium of microbes that are in there, the number, like there's different organisms, and it's called a consortium because they all work together to do really good things. And they can actually, like, each one of them has something that it does, and then individually it has something it does, but when they come together, they can do completely different things. Like, they actually work together, and they come together on purpose to form these relationships so that they can accomplish things that they can't accomplish themselves. If that's not incredible intelligence, and it's proof that there is a whole world under this soil that we haven't identified with until recently, and it's fascinating. So I hope you guys feel the same. But this whole area is like this, and if you see, it's all covered with leaf debris, okay? And that is the secret to keeping that biology on the surface layer underneath, so that it can make soil on the surface that's like this. And we only get about 6 inches, so if we dig down past those 6 inches, generally, this is really fertile actually. This goes down further, and I don't want to disrupt it too much, but we can see that's about 6 inches right there to the middle of my hand. So that line, but it's black, and it's beautiful, and it's aerated with aggregates, and it's got earthworms, it's got a complete soil food web. You know, there's never really complete because it goes on forever, but complete just means that the organisms keep each other in check in a healthy way. So, and that's what we're looking at here. This is healthy soil, and all these aggregates are it's just blowing my mind because it's just so beautiful. Like, this is healthy. This is what I want in my new yard. I hope it's already there, honestly. I hope, we get land that's basically like, uninhabited, doesn't have any grass on it. I hate to say that, there's trees on it and I'm going to cut them down, but that's the nature. I'm not going to pull up roots though if I do. So the one thing is, if you get property, you want to leave the old growth as much as you can, because that is what sustains your watershed. Those large, huge pine trees and those giant oaks and things, they send down those roots in the soil. Like, not all of them have tap roots, but I know, like, a lot of the pine trees, especially in this area, the things that grow up super tall are the ones that have the tap roots to keep them more stable on top. So, like, those are the trees that reach down into our water table and control our watershed, and we cannot get rid of those. We can't cut those down. It's vital to the environment and the soil and everything that we know to be healthy in life. So we want to stop cutting down old growth trees. It's bad. It's really, really bad. But the smaller ones, like say the oaks that are maybe 2 or 3 years old, or like poplars and things that are real flimsy, not real sturdy trees in terms of like benefiting the soil. They're good for holding soil in place if you're building swales and you get wind mounds and things, to prevent the wind from getting into the crops, but you want to keep the old growth, and the younger growth are the trees that are okay to cut down, as long as you're replacing them with other trees that are going to grow and benefit that ecosystem. So that's how we build strength and how we keep things going you know, and how we don't have to worry about pests. And people are always saying, well, you know, I tried organic farming and I had just as many pests. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, how many microorganisms did you have in your soil? You know, did you do any population counts? Were there any non-beneficials in there that were like, you know, some bad populations of nematodes that were eating roots or something? Like, are we aware of the microbes in the soil? Are we aware of the organic matter? What's our texture? What textures do we have? You know, what is it that the trees need that is there? You know, is it black? What's the consistency? Is there char in it? Has it ever had char in it? Like, by nature, the natural succession of soil across the earth started with... Oh, there's a beautiful hawk. Oh, beautiful hawk. Okay, that hawk just grabbed a squirrel out of a tree, but I don't know if you heard it in the background, but the squirrel hung onto the limb, and the hawk was grabbing it by his tail, trying to pull him off the branch, and the squirrel won. So the hawk, he flew off. He's actually in the tree right here, but beautiful, guys. So anyway, just awareness, guys. My whole point in this video is just so I'm trying to help people be more aware of their surroundings, because it's fascinating. It's a better way of life. It's just healthy. It's positive. It's all the things that so many people are missing and saying they're depressed, and they're sitting home on the couch watching TV, and there's a reason they're depressed. You know, we need to be in nature in order to be healthy. We need to get our microbes. You know, like, we need dirt on our hands from time to time. We need to walk through a forest to get the microbes that are coming off the leaves in the air all around us, like herds of animals moving across the earth. I mean, this is life, and we need more of it in our lives. As I'm sorting through the soil here, I'm finding a lot of seeds that are outside of a fruit, but they are very, very viable. They're beautiful, actually. I hope you guys can see that. Maybe I can get in a different light here, but they're like a rich brown. So these are like a rich brown color, and I'm finding them on the surface of the soil underneath the leaf debris, but they're not encased in a fruit. They're just loose, you know, but they're not black. These are viable, and if I left these here, and I'm going to leave a lot, but I'm going to take some from my food forest, you know, but the ones that we leave are going to, you know, probably, hopefully, come up as trees, and they'll probably end up being food for something, because they do cut down a lot of stuff. Like, that's unfortunate, but you know, they want these trees, and they've got them all tagged, but they cut down all the smaller ones that come up over the years, which is sad, because it takes these so long to get big. So by the time they're big enough to see, you know, they're already a year or two old, and then they just come and cut them down. But you don't have to always look for the fruit, is the point, guys. So, like, if you're going through, like right here, you know, that is a viable seed. Look at how beautiful that, I don't know if you can see on the video, but that's a beautiful brown color. It's very rich brown, but those are wonderful. So I'm really excited. So I got a buddy around Charlotte named Alexander that has a nursery, a tree nursery, and it's a native tree nursery where you can order a lot of stuff from him, but he grows really natural. Like, this is basically what he's doing. He's taking the persimmon trees and putting it just like they are in how I'm finding them here in his yard, and in forest settings, you know, outside on the outskirts of his yard, I think. And then that's where he's growing them in very loose soil. He says he digs like a 12-inch strip, and then he puts compost in there that's nice and soft, you know, and very aggregated, very aerated. So much like this, where it's just like loose, not a lot of roots in there. And then he'll plant the seedlings, the seeds in there, and when they get to seedling stage, he'll get a fork, and he'll get the fork and pull those seedlings out very carefully. So he's getting all the roots with it, you know, because he's already set the stage to be able to go down 12 inches. So it's just genius. But he's selling those as bare roots online. But this is basically, you know, how they grow in nature, and that's how he's growing them, that's what we want, guys. We want the seedlings to come when we order them as they grow in nature, so when we plant them, they don't think, you know, they understand where they're at and what they're doing. Otherwise, they can be like root bound, where the roots are going around in circles in the pots. And if you get that situation, man, honestly, I'd order another plant personally, or another tree. Especially if it's got a taproot and that taproot's wrapping around, because, you know, my understanding is you'll never have a tree as healthy and do as well as you will if the taproot continues downward to support that tree's stability. If it starts wrapping around, that root is going to expand, and when you put it in the soil, and it's going to form a knot, and then it's going to cause restriction on itself, so which will hinder its growth. So I mean, just if you think about that concept and how they grow, it makes sense as to why one that was in a pot and root bound with a taproot will never grow as well as a tree that doesn't have, or that's planted in the ground, where it can just grow continuously down in nice fertile loose soil. But look at this, guys. That is beautiful soil. That is beautiful. I'm going to take some. This has microorganisms in it, guys. So if you want to get the microorganisms from the environment that the trees grow in, all you got to do is take a handful of the soil like this and take it back, and try not to squeeze it too much, because every time I do that, I squeeze the microorganisms in there. And I know they're small and you can't see them and all that stuff, and they can fit between interstitial space really well, but at the same time, like, they're still living organisms and they can still be squished. You can still cut them up with a propeller if you make compost teas and you use like a pump with a propeller, like a jet. So you don't want to do that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you treat them as your buddies. I did it again. But the point is, like, this is just beautiful soil, and it's got microorganisms in it, and there's still a lot of interstitial space in there. So, even if I squeeze it, I could squeeze this all day and there'll still be living organisms. So don't get me wrong, I understand that. But I'm just saying that we need to be careful with these things, because this is a realization that we didn't have before recently. And it's only been, the past 30 years really, where we've understood that these microbes, they mean a lot more than we thought they did. Like, this is why things are alive on Earth. So we need to be real careful with them, and we need to treat them with respect. So I'm going to take some of this back, and I'm going to put that in my yard. I actually am going to form a ball, though, because I don't want to mix it in. I want to be able to take it right out when I get it home and put it right in potting soil, or maybe I've got a bukashi going, so I can actually propagate these microbes and make more of them with bukashi. And if you guys want to know more about bukashi, I've got a lot of videos I'm thinking about putting out, but there's another guy called the Weedy Gardener, and he's got awesome videos on bukashi. And if you join NorthCarolinaPermaculture.com, I just posted a bunch of videos too from some of the teachers in my classes that have YouTube videos, and those videos are just outstanding, full of information. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little clip, and I hope you're having a great day. So live regeneratively, learn daily, think rationally, and be well. Have a great day.